Behind me is Ipswich Transport Museum, a museum which I've been looking forward to visiting for a long while. So let's go inside and see what they have on display. One of the aspects about visiting a local transport museum is that many items on display actually relate to the local area. And nearly all of the items in this transport museum here in Ipswich do relate to Ipswich itself. Like this Smith's electric delivery cart, which dates from 1965. Mobile greengrocers used to drive up and down the streets delivering fresh fruit and vegetables to the general public at home. Nothing new in home shopping. And this one's been really well thought out in its display. All the fruit and the vegetables and the weighing scales as well. What a great little start to the video by looking at this. It was drawn from service in the summer of 2001 and donated to the museum here back in March of 2002. It really is a really interesting little display. Before the electric vehicles, home delivery vehicles were horse-drawn. And there's a really nice example here of a horse-drawn delivery vehicle. This one dates from 1932. And these were phased out in the 1950s in favour of the electric models. When I was growing up in the 1970s, we used to see the milkman every day driving an electric milk float. But before they drove the electric ones, they had horse-drawn or hand carts for delivering the milk. And there's a fine example of a hand cart from the 1900s. And the milkman would come along all the way up to fairly recently and deliver the milk direct to people's doors. And outside would be a little container for the milkman to put the milk in and take away the empties. So you could actually tell the milkman how many pints you wanted. 1, 2, 3, 4, or even more. Which is really rather nice. And there's a fine example here on display of a milk bottle holder. You don't see them these days. Little window into our past. But there are still milkmen delivering today in some streets. Which is nice to see, but like most people today, we get ours from the supermarket. There's quite a bit of background noise because, as well as being a museum, they also renovate displays items here as well. There's quite a bit of renovation going on today, so hence the background noise. But take a little walk around and show you some of the items on display, because there's far many more items that I can actually do justice for in a video. But there's a nice fire engine just here. And this is a Dennis New World fire engine, and it dates from 1939. At a top speed of 60 miles an hour. See the starting handle on the front. What a splendid looking vehicle. Ipswich and Suffolk and Ipswich Fire Service. See the ladder on the top, and all the firefighters would sit in the open air underneath the ladder. What a great looking vehicle. Really interesting to see it. Really interesting to see these old vehicles on display. And a Morris Minor as well, dates from the 1930s. Once a common sight on the roads in England, but not so much now. But they do turn up at vintage car rallies and things, which is nice to see them. Another fire engine, a Bedford water tender from 1987. They were a familiar sight on the roads, but not today. Relegated to museums. We looked a few minutes ago at an electric delivery vehicle, but they have an electric car here as well. This is an Enfield electric car which dates from 1976. The car was originally powered by 8 traction batteries totaling 48 volts. But there was a switch which means you could change the voltage from 12, 24 or 48. So depending on how fast you wanted to go. Maximum speed of the car was 40 miles an hour. They go a lot faster than that today. And a couple more battery operated vehicles and a milk float from 1948. Nothing new in electric vehicles. In fact, electric vehicles have been around for over 100 years. But putting petrol into them and a combustion engine, internal combustion engine, was so much more convenient, especially when it came to refueling or as opposed to recharging, which is why petrol engine vehicles became popular and battery operated vehicles were phased out. And I've walked back to the fire engines again. There's quite a few on display here, but fire engines and fire tenders go back a lot further than many people perhaps realise. There's a model here from 1732, basic pump and a bucket, and this one's from 1912, a little more modern, but it's a steam powered fire truck. And actually this is the last steamer known to have attended a fire in the United Kingdom. A fire broke out at Little Finborough in East Suffolk on the 30th of July in 1940. And this is the fire engine that went to that fire. Steam powered. A giant kettle, basically. Absolutely brilliant. Very rare to see one of these. There's one here from the 1860s as well. A Merryweather manual fire pump. And given the age, this one is in remarkably good condition. It was found in a barn. Three very rare examples of early fire engines. Just walk through into this part of the museum here, because inside is a very rare car indeed. And this vehicle is a Clipper 360 made by Trident cars, and it was made here in Ipswich. They had a factory in the centre of the town. And this is a very rare car. There's only about 20 on the road today out of about 39 that were actually built. And it really is an absolute treat to see one. I've never seen one before. This is why I like coming to regional transport museums. You do find some absolute gems. And even the door handle, it's very reminiscent of a handle found on an Austin Princess or an Ambassador. Sort of reused parts from one car to another. But as a car design, it really is very sporty. And I'm quite surprised it's given its shape and style that this car never really took off. But it really is absolutely beautiful to look at it. Very reminiscent of a Lotus Esprit at the back, or perhaps a Scimitar. Perhaps that was the inspiration for the design. But it's very sporty looking and very attractive to look at. This one is actually left-hand drive, so perhaps it's made as an export model. But they also have a few dioramas here in the museum as well. And this one is for a Triumph motorbike repair shop. And another one with an Austin 7 in the garage here under repair. Very popular car back in the 1930s. There are quite a few of those still on the roads. But there's something for everybody in this museum. And over the other side is a model railway. I've had so much fun playing with the train set. It's actually a G-scale set designed for a garden. And they've done it so well in here with the detail on the figurines and the landscapes and the station. I feel like a big kid. I do like a train set. But I have to say a massive thank you to the trustees of the museum who have made this video possible. Really is an absolute pleasure to come here and make this video and show you around this really wonderful museum and such a unique collection of vehicles on display. But the trustees have allowed me into an area which is completely off limits to the general public, and I didn't know about this before I arrived. There's an old air raid shelter here, and also the old pits from the bus garage that used to be here. So I'm going to go down and take a look. I'm going to show you as well, because this is really exciting. And this is the part of the museum that visitors never get to see, because this is the maintenance area. And health and safety regulations mean that members of the general public aren't allowed down here. But what I want to show you first, before I go to the air raid shelter, is the underneath of the vehicles. There we go. These are the pit areas, the maintenance areas. So when this was a bus garage, buses would come in for maintenance, and the maintenance mechanics could actually work underneath the bus because it was effectively raised off the ground. Lots of bus garages have them, and even today when I go to work I reverse buses and coaches over inspection pits, just like this one. But what I want to show you is the old air raid shelter, and that's down these steps. There's lots of parts of buses and other vehicles down here. Gosh, and a pipe to go under. Oh, there we go. Lots of items on the ground as well, so I've got to be very careful where I walk. This is another reason when members of the public don't come down here. It's very difficult to access. But what I've come to see is just through here. It is very dark in here, but there's one part of the shelter which is sort of illuminated. See behind me. But the interesting part is just through here. So I walk around here, and this is completely dark, and it's completely off limits to the public. You can see behind me the paneling, metal paneling on the walls, which goes down into a room towards the end. And but nobody ever comes down here because it's not a safe place to be. But there's another little room here. There we go. It's very interesting to come down here and just see the structure of this building. And the interesting bit is the tunnel behind me. Absolutely amazing to come down and see this. This really is a part of Ipswich that most people just probably do not know exists. And I didn't know it existed until I came to the museum. I was shown to the pits area underneath the vehicles. And it was just mentioned casually that there was the old air raid shelter underneath. And of course, I just had to come and explore. I feel very privileged to be allowed down here. That's all down to the trustees of the museum who have made everything possible today. But let's find out a little bit more about the museum as I speak to Adrian, one of the museum trustees. Well, I'm joined by Adrian, one of the trustees of the museum. So Adrian, thank you so much for allowing me to come here today and to film this museum. It really is quite a unique collection of transport throughout the last 100 years or so. So how did it all start?
Well, the collection started in the mid-1960s with some friends who bought or rather they decided that old pre-war buses were disappearing, and they put some money together and they acquired a Dennis Ace, which sits in the museum now, which was our first vehicle, with the idea that they would get it roadworthy and enter it for the London to Brighton commercial heritage vehicle run. Alas, that never happened, but it's still here, and that was our first vehicle. Then as over the next few years, various firms offered us exhibits, and the collection has just expanded from that. I mean, like a lot of transport museums, heritage railways in their early days, no covered accommodation, stuff was stored wherever we could find a farmer with a field. Sometimes we were lucky, we could get things into an old barn for a few months, and that carried on like that. Unfortunately, like anything, vehicles which are stored outside do deteriorate more, and some vehicles didn't survive. But in the 1980s we were offered a short lease on an old disused coach company's workshop in centre of Ipswich, which we used, and then the council decided they were going to demolish that and refurbish the whole site, and we got use of the then redundant old trolleybus depot which we're in now. It was at that time it had museum exhibits from Ipswich Museum, and also some gritter lorries, so salt gritting lorries, and old vehicles don't go together. But after a year or so, the gritter lorries moved out. We got a short lease, so we were able to move other exhibits in here. And then in the late 1990s, we were able to negotiate a 25-year lease, which gave us some permanency, and that also enabled us to apply for lottery funding to make the building watertight, and it's in its current state with all the cladding, insulated roofs, so it's a watertight environment, which helps enormously. The museum itself celebrates the transport and engineering heritage of Ipswich and the immediate surrounding area, so virtually everything is local. So there's no red London RT bus or a London taxi or a trolley bus from say Belgium, so everything was either made or used locally.
I think that's one of the joys of a museum like this, that everything is local. And looking around from what I've seen so far, this really is a very special collection of old vehicles.
Yeah. That's right. And Ipswich was the engineering capital of East Anglia, and that was primarily because you've got the River Orwell, which comes right into the centre of town, and the engineering companies like Ransom, Sims and Jeffries, Ransoms and Rapier built factories alongside the river, so they could import their raw materials and export the finished product. So all this, and we've got examples of that, of those items here in the museum, and that was important. Of course, they've all virtually gone, which is a great shame, but at least we got them to so visitors from far and wide can come in and appreciate the engineering and transport heritage of the area.
I think a lot of people don't sort of realise that Ipswich does have this transport heritage, because most people think of Ipswich from the town centre and the historic connections with Carswell, Wolsey, and
that's right,
and other aspects of the town centre's history. But people tend to leave the museum out because it's situated out of town. You're on a bus route here, aren't you, as well?
Nearby, but
nearby.
Yes, because it doesn't. I suppose it doesn't help that we're not on a main road. We're not a building where you would drive past, think, oh, I'll go there. But
it's only a few minutes walk there.
That's
the main
right.
Road,
yes,
and the railway line.
Indeed, and we get so many visitors who come and say, "Gosh, I just didn't realise the diversity of items and objects you've got. Amazing, got to come back." So yes, it is. We say that we're Ipswich's best kept secret. We don't want to be. We want to be Ipswich's worst kept secret.
There is certainly so much on display here, from the smallest items up to the larger trolley buses that, like we're sitting on at the moment. This is quite a unique vehicle.
Yes.
So thank you so much for allowing me to come here today, Adrian, to look at this wonderful collection. And if you're in Ipswich or nearby, come and visit the Ipswich Museum. The link is in the description below, and you will have a really good day out. Thank you.
That's right. So just at the end there, you said Ipswich Museum rather than Ipswich Transport Museum, because there is an Ipswich Museum as well.
Ipswich Transport Museum. Okay, we got a blooper there. We got a blooper. Yes, Ipswich Transport Museum. Yes, there is another museum in Ipswich, which is very good for like history. Yeah. But yes, this is the Transport Museum, which is down towards Nacton, and it is well worth a visit. You can spend several hours here just getting lost in the array of vehicles and other items on display. So thank you.
That's right. Good.
It's absolutely brilliant talking to Adrian. He is so knowledgeable about the vehicles on display and the history of this museum. I've got to talk to him for hours. But they have a number of buses on display here as well, and I've just come into this one. This really is an old bus indeed, 1976 Leyland Neon. Wow, so many these buses were built, and they were very common in the 1960s onwards. And this bus was in service from 1976 until April of 1994, when it was retired. It was in service with Ipswich buses. You see the layout's quite different from modern day buses. Especially the colour scheme in this very nice shade of green. But that was the style back in the 60s. Functional buses, not really designed for comfort. Although these seats are actually quite comfy. Saying that, I've ridden on modern day buses which aren't comfy at all. I've never driven one of these, but I quite fancy it actually, see how they compare to modern day buses. But I've had an absolutely brilliant time here at the museum. It's been so exciting to look around and see some of the items on display. There are so many items on display here, from displays of old prams and lawnmowers, as well as numerous dioramas, and so many different vehicles on display, including buses and trolley buses as well. And I'll leave a link to the museum's website in the description below. And if you're in Ipswich or fancy a drive out for a really enjoyable day out, then this is definitely a museum to come and see. There is so much here, from adults all the way down to children and big kids like me who like playing with train sets. That really was enormous fun, and that was such a brilliant little display. And they even had a little coal display as well, of a little shuttle of a coal wagon which went up a hill, and that was fun to see as well. But this is where I'm going to end this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see another video very shortly from another museum. There are other videos on my channel to watch, and of course on my main travel channel as well. I've visited numerous historical museums around Europe, so if you're interested in museums, there's plenty to watch across both my channels. And do come and support Ipswich Museum. It is a great day out. Thank you so much for watching.